Education.
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 Education. Education.
Education.
Education.
Education. Education.
I think education in itself is an accomplishment, regardless of whether it's high school or post-secondary or PhD.
The act of learning how to do something. So we have our typical things like math and English and science, but it also means things like cooking.
Education, within my experiences in Iran, which I was born in, and in Canada, it's a systemic way of learning. It's a way of acquiring knowledge, but through an institution.
Education is an opportunity.
For you to become more, to expand your horizon, to learn more, to experience more.
Lifelong learning. Sometimes it's informal settings, more often than not.
It's important to have lots of different types of education to sort of become a well-rounded person.
Having the opportunity to learn about the world around you and being taught valuable skills and lessons that you can apply for the rest of your life.
Trial and error, to try new things, see what interests you and see what you're good at and see what you're not good at.
I grew up in Bulgaria. I went to a Russian immersion elementary, so I actually had to take a test to get into the elementary school. And then I moved here when I was 16, went to high school here for 2 years. It was quite different. In Bulgaria, we kind of study a little bit of everything. So up until grade 9, I studied history, biology, chemistry, physics, languages, literature, everything at once. I like that in Canada, after grade 10, I think, you're able to sort of narrow it down.
In grade school, I was transferred from a regular elementary school to a gifted program. So it was a different school with new people that I'd never met before. And I stuck with these students from grade 4 through to a different school in grade 6. And then on to high school in grade 9. So the gifted program was very small, and it was about, I don't know, 12 of us. So it was very segregated from everyone else, but it was very encouraging. It was alienating to be smart, because the other kids knew you were in the gifted class, and we did get picked on a lot.
I was born and raised in a small town, and so throughout my elementary years we would meet only a certain amount at this first school, and then we'd move into high school, and then all of those years in grade 8 and 9 would be pushed into one school. And the teachers that teach these grades either are the most fantastic and have just the biggest balls for trying it, or they seem to have lost all faith in humanity and say, well, guess I'll be a teacher.
I grew up with a fairly normal education. Went to elementary school, it was pretty fun, pretty relaxing, pretty lenient. Moved on to high school, it was pretty relaxed as well. It wasn't too stressful, it was more, I was really focused into baseball. When I was younger, I played soccer, basketball, baseball, and I can't remember, a bunch of other things. Just tested everything out. I played hockey at one point, that didn't work out. And yeah, baseball, I just picked baseball and continue on, and I'm planning to play as long as I can.
Well, elementary school was California public school in San Mateo County. I did and didn't like it. My mother did a nice thing when I had a cold or something. The last day of getting well, we went to the beach. So she somehow knew that it was getting ill wasn't just about my body, it was something about needing something else too, so that was very nice. I went to public high school for 1 year. The remaining years of my high school were spent in a very tiny alternative school based on Summerhill, which was 60 students, and up in the hills above, between the ocean and Palo Alto, California. Kind of an idyllic situation. We had, we didn't have phys ed, we had building the buildings, so we learned plumbing and electrics, and we went to the beach and played volleyball, and for geology we went camping in the desert and looking at the California faults. It was life-changing for me. So
in my country, the system of education are 3 levels. All of the years that I have educated, I went to public school because of the financial situation. I can explain about punishment. You know, we had so many different kind of physical punishment during the education. So in Tehran, one day, I had argued with one other student. Then the principal asked, okay, come tomorrow with your parents. We want to falak you. Falak means that a piece of a stick of the wood, and with the rope, they ask the kids lay down on the floor. Then the 2 students took their feet of the feet of the kid, all right. Then they twisted a rope around the piece of the stick. Then somebody slashed with rope on their bottom of their feet, And then because of that, 2 kids hold the stick. The poor kid can't shake or move anywhere.
Yeah, so I grew up on the east side, so I've always been a public school type of person. I remember going to Hastings Elementary School, then Mount Pleasant, and then my high school I spent at Vancouver Technical Secondary School. And it was never privileged high schools. Like I remember my elementary school, didn't have walls. We used dividers, so it wasn't very fabulous, but it worked, and it's obviously gotten me here today. So.
I wasn't bullied much in school, but there was a bit of an issue when I was in grade 5. I was in a split grade class, and one of the grade 6 guys who I now know had a hard life and stuff, but anyways, at the time just seemed like a big jerk, used to pick on me fairly regularly. I didn't really get too offended or deeply bothered by his bullying, but the thing that really frustrated me was that the teacher would lash out at me if I swore at him or got back at him or anything. Like, sometimes he would insult me all day long and then I would retort, but because I talk loudly, because I have poor hearing, I would get in trouble from the teacher and stuff, and that really bothered me. I sort of wish that they had taught us more about bullying in elementary school, because they educate about the dangers of bullying in high school, but when I was in elementary school, there was no education on that.
Well, I was born in Iran, and I came to Canada when I was 7 years old, so I attended grade 1 and 2 in Iran. We didn't go to kindergarten or preschool, so I didn't have that. And then when I came to Canada, I did a test, and they actually said that I could go straight into grade 4. I think there was definitely I wanted to reject my culture as much as I can, and I didn't want to speak my language, and I wanted to fit in with the other kids, and I didn't want to have Iranian food, and I would always complain at home. I don't know how it happened. Maybe I think it happened when I was out of high school, that I learned to embrace my culture and to embrace where I come from. But even to this day, I struggle with my identity and who I really am.
In grade 10, I did Science Co-op and then Socials Explorer. Socials Explorer, we went on a bunch of camping trips and learned all about BC. So it was learning social studies and then applying it to, I guess, a global scale as well. Science Co-op, I got to do a co-op placement at the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, which was in the West Van Lab. And so having that on my resume, just being a high school student, has gotten me really far.
I went to Capilano University for 5 years. It was great. I got to make some great connections, some great friendships. The classes were much smaller, which I liked, and it gave me the opportunity to not only get to know my classmates, but get to know my professors as well.
I moved to North Vancouver to go to Capilano University. It was like the best thing of my life. It fulfilled so many dreams in one little year of schooling. It was phenomenal. I'm pursuing acting, so that probably explains a few things.
I attended Cap University for 5 years. My degree is only supposed to be 4, but I took less time. But it was a great experience. During that time, I got to go study abroad for a year, which was like the most amazing experience, life-changing experience that I could have ever had.
I attended McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. I had a lot of trouble in my first year there, didn't make many friends, didn't have great grades, and just, it was kind of depressing. But in my second year there, I went into the chemistry program. I made a lot of good friends, made a lot of good contacts with professors and TAs, grad students, and it was a really good environment to have such a small program in university.
When I finished grade 12, in our country, which is Iran, the revolution took place. I started to apply for university, but when the revolution took place, for 2 years, all the university in Iran, they were closed. And then, after that, they opened the university for a short period of time. One more time, the university closed, a second time because of the cultural revolution. I was eager to learn more, but because of the situation, I hadn't that chance. So I started to work different places. After 4 years, I started first year of university, which was agriculture engineering. Since I had away from university, I got some solid idea about the career in a real society.
That first year of university, I ended up spending a lot of time going to alternative lectures that weren't in my courses, that were, for instance, Ivan Illich came to York University and talked to people who were very inspiring. It was interesting to be back in a traditional kind of schooling situation. And what the result of that was I didn't do very well in my first year and had to repeat it. But I did go on to finally find, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do in university. It was just that my siblings had gone to university, my father was a lawyer. It was like, you know, you go to university, that's what you do. So, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what I wanted to connect with. And then I took an Asian history of modern Asia course, and somehow it was like a light bulb went on.
So I started off in the general arts and sciences transfer program, and I ended up deciding that it wasn't really my thing. My sort of second plan, my backup plan, I guess you could say all along, was to become an electrician. I became quite interested in it in elementary school, and it was cool because in grade 4 we got to do experiments with electricity, and I sort of learned with my dad and through books how that worked. When I went to BCIT, of course, it was all tailored to that field, and it was excellent, well-rounded education for my job, and I feel really prepared to jump in there and start.
I'm a nursing student at the University of British Columbia, and when I was in high school, I always wanted to have a career in medicine, and I wanted to go to medical school, and I still do right now. But to get there, I had to get a degree before, so I was in sciences for 2 years, but then I decided to switch to the nursing program, and then from the nursing program, I hope to go into the medical program because I realized that I was like acquiring all this knowledge, but I just felt like it wasn't useful at all. So I wanted to get some skills, so that's why I attended the nursing program, and I'm lucky in a way because the nursing program at UBC, it hasn't been just in the classroom. It's been like outside. You know, when you go to the hospital to get practicum and to work with patients, I learned a lot about life and, you know, what's important in life.
I'm not exactly sure baseball ties in like to the academics of school, but it definitely ties in with the atmosphere and how baseball is a team game, and it's like a community kind of. You have a bunch of different players, different attitudes, different people coming together to be on one team and strive for one goal to win, and you have to come together and be cooperative with everybody else. And I think it's kind of the same with school. It is definitely very difficult to combine the two, especially since the semesters are so compact. You're fitting a whole year's worth of material into 3 months. Teachers are really understanding of the athletics. They encourage it.
I found it really difficult to have a good social life as well as a good academic life. I really pushed myself to do well in school, and so I therefore dedicate a lot of time to school. I feel really guilty relaxing sometimes just because I know that I have schoolwork to do.
I guess it's hindered me because now I have no time to like do personal goals, as in exercise more and make homemade meals every night. my personal goal was to go to school to pursue theater, to become involved in the performing arts, and I'm already there. If it wasn't for school, it would not have happened.
In the time that was a student at grade 12, in Iran we have a big competition, which they have to have tests in 1 or 2 days, which is in Persian name is concours. I don't know, maybe it's French name, I don't know, that's the concours. It means that they have to, during the 1 day, they have to take all exams which they learn, right, in 1 day, and the result of the test determine which destiny they have. This is the big pressure on grade 12 student.
If I could change one thing about my education that I've received, I would change the students' flexibility in choosing courses. I've been forced to take like statistics and math, and I have a really hard time with math. So being forced to take those classes and them not really translating into any of my other classes in my degree is really frustrating for me.
Has it held me back? No, but there are things that I wish I had learned in school. There's a lot of, I think, life skills that education doesn't necessarily provide. But overall, I think education is very, it's taught me discipline. If I can take one thing away from having completed a degree, it's discipline.
I would wish that the teachers cared more. I think some teachers cared a lot. I had an elementary school teacher that really cared, right? Then I had a lot of teachers that didn't care. Going through high school, a lot of my teachers didn't care. I just wish to see more teachers that would be more involved with their students in terms of caring about their success.
It's such a political issue, but I would change the price. When you find yourself in a post-secondary situation where you're spending a whole bunch of money on school, suddenly you question everything that you do. I think that if tuition were lowered, people could approach things with a more sensible head on their shoulders. Not free, because that's unlikely, if not impossible.
The current requirements for some of these programs is limiting to students, because not a lot of students have time to do extracurricular activities or to gain international experience, or to be able to take 4 classes at a time. A lot of them are part-time. So there's a lot of pressure that I feel even now about medical school and the competition that it has, and I'm always thinking, okay, well, how can I make the application process, or how can I make my application stand out, and how can I make it better? And I always think, okay, what would happen if I don't get it?
I honestly think lowering tuition would be a definite plus, because there's a lot of people that can't afford to go to school. We actually had a case on our baseball team this year. He had to quit because he could not afford to play baseball, and he had to work to afford to go to school next year because he cannot afford that without working.
One thing that I thought was a bit of a problem when I was in elementary school is, because of that bullying that I had in grade 5, the teacher I had that year thought I was a bit of a troublemaker, and he spoke about it with other teachers in the staff room. Apparently I learned later in sort of a complaining tone in a way. And so the teacher the year after that sort of had a preconceived notion of what I was like.
They need to provide students with a good understanding of all of the options that are out there. University is a large commitment, and I don't think it's something anyone should be pressured or feel pressured into going into.
The one thing I would like to see is that every child and every educator be respected and loved for who they are.